Good evening, everyone. Good evening for most of us. Jason is sometime Australia. Afternoon, morning,
Morning,
something.
morning. Good morning.
Morning. This is Will from Inside Disney Infinity, the podcast, and I'm sure at this point you know everyone else in the room except for a few unfamiliar faces. We have a few people that are watching us live right now, but then we also have a very special guest this evening, and that is Mr. Worth Dayley from Avalanche Studios. Good evening, Worth.
Hello, Earthlings.
So Worth has been kind enough to talk with us tonight, and yeah, we're gonna make him spill the beans. We're gonna torture him until he gives us all of that secret information. Only kidding. We're gonna talk about only things in Disney Infinity 1 and things that have been released and stuff. And I've actually had the pleasure of speaking with Worth already, so it's like we go way back. We're old buddies at this point. So I'm really gonna encourage the rest of the guys in the group and those watching and listening live to just ask questions. We'll be monitoring the chat room. We'll be monitoring the Hangout. And yeah, so before we get started, Worth, do you mind just telling us a little bit about your involvement with Disney Infinity?
No, I don't mind at all. So I started at Avalanche the day that Infinity went into full production. So that was 16 years ago. A couple years ago, and I was immediately put onto a team. So sorry, I'm an artist. Maybe I should start there. I'm an artist. I'm an environment artist. So that means I don't touch the characters or any of that kind of stuff, but I do work on the worlds and the all that kind of stuff, the levels, whatever you want to call them. So I started working. I was put on a small art team of 3 people working on just a small side little thing that was supposed to be a waiting room for multiplayer kind of stuff, and then that from there gradually evolved, mutated into what is now the toy box. So, and the team grew from us 3 to now there's a core group of 6 artists. So
You mean 60, right?
I'm sorry?
You mean 60, right?
60? Yeah.
Yeah.
60.
That's a joke you played on me when I talked to you before.
Yes. They were all very silent during the interview. Yeah. So what I do, basically anything in the toy box that is not a weapon or a character, so no blockheads or mission givers or any of that kind of stuff. Everything else, I've probably worked on it to some capacity. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. It sounds like a handful of, with the toy box being so open and so, pardon the cliche, but so many possibilities in there. It seems like that would be a tall feat to work on everything toy box related.
It was, and that's why, and in the interview I talk about iteration, and I just use the word mutation. The toy box came about so like step by step, that we never set out to make 1,500 toys or whatever the number is that are things that are in there. We didn't. That was never the plan, I guess, but that's just kind of what it gradually became. We just kept putting more and more in as we went along. We kept realizing more and more what this thing could become, and that just made us want to put even more stuff in, and yeah, it turned into a monster.
That's awesome. Since I've already spoken with Worth, do you guys have any questions? What do you want to learn about Disney Infinity and his involvement with that, or just kind of the process in general?
Well, I have one question. Of all the multitude of items that you've worked on for Disney Infinity, do you have a personal favorite, something that you love to call your own?
Well, I think the easiest answer to that question is the Tron set, which none of you have yet, as I understand. Well, I guess Jason might. The disc came out in Australia, right?
He has the he's muted right now. He has the power disc, not the texture disc. He's shaking his head yes.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's one that we're all waiting on bated breath for.
Yes, Tron. So I did the Tron, both the terrain and population customization as well as the sky, and also the Light Runner was mine as well.
So the Light Runner vehicle was too.
Yeah. Yeah, the Light Runner was one of those things that we talked about earlier, just you and I and the team. One of those things that wasn't on any lists. It was just a thing that I wanted to be in the game, and so I made it. I took a weekend and watched the movie another 7 times. Back when I'd already done the art set, the customization set. So I've seen that movie more times than is probably healthy, but
now the new one, right? Tron.
Tron Legacy.
Legacy. Did you play any role with the Recognizer?
No, the Recognizer was my coworker Reed Hawker. He's kind of the Tron classic guy. If we're gonna assign titles, he's the Tron classic guy. I'm the more modern Tron guy.
Okay.
So the Recognizer was another thing that wasn't on any lists anywhere, and nobody really wanted it except Reed, and so Reed put it together. I think he built it in a few hours or something like that. It's not a super complex model, but he put it together, and he got some people in the company to rig it up, put it in the game, and that was another thing that. It just appeared in the game, and people saw it, and were just like, "Whoa, what? Are you kidding me? We have that in our game? Whoa!" Yeah.
That's awesome.
So does that answer the question? Yeah, Tron.
You're all about Tron. Do you like the Tron Uprising stuff? Because I want to say, I'm not sure, but I think there's some Tron Uprising music in the game.
There may be. I actually watched the series after, while I was working on the game.
Okay.
I hadn't heard of it until somebody's like, "Oh, you're Tron Up." Somebody told me about it. I actually really liked it. It's a good series, and kind of sad that it's gone, not coming back.
Yeah, that is.
From what I hear.
Really unfortunate. I don't know why, because it seemed had somewhat of a cult following, but.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was way cool.
So is it difficult? So you said Tron is something that you were responsible for creating on your own. Is it difficult once you, if I'm understanding you correctly, you went home without permission or even anyone really knowing, and you're like, I'm just going to see if I can get this into the game. Do you have to convince people once they see it, or they're just like, okay, that's awesome, we want that in the game, and since it's already built, why not?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, we're not all just kind of rogue agents, but insofar as the toy box is set up so modularly and so kind of piecemeal, everything is a toy, everything is a separate piece, and so that kind of opened the door to this opportunity to kind of inject these things that aren't really connected to anything. They don't have any neighbors. There's not like a set of things that comes from a play set. There was a lot of that stuff. That was what was on the lists. But yeah, there's some stuff even that we did that didn't really make the cut, because just because we made it doesn't mean that our superiors want it in the game, or our studio art director wants it in the game, or the property holder of whatever Disney property that is wants it in the game. So there's a definite kind of hierarchy of people that have to see it and and green light it and give it the approval and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of grassroots did a bunch of this stuff to inject our own fan favorite things into the game. But once they were in the game, they still had to go out and stand up to the tests.
Gotcha. Meet requirements and criteria, I assume.
Right. Exactly.
That's cool.
I have a question. Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Steven, and I was curious, one of the things that's so cool about the Tron stuff from what I've seen is it looks so close to the movie, and if you're a fan of the movie, then you did justice. It looks phenomenal. And I was curious, obviously, like you said a minute ago, you watched it about 1 million times. All the other things sort of have like an Infinity sort of twist to them. All of the stuff is Sully doesn't look like the Sully from the thing. Sully's a little more angular and looks more different. When you got all of your stuff done, does the director of the film ever look at it and say, wow, this looks good? Do you have to run it by just the Infinity people, or are there people that were involved in making Tron that get to not necessarily give you approval, but do they give you any tips, or do they do anything, or is it completely up to you?
That's a great question, and kind of a sneak preview for the art team interview that we did with Will. But the answer to that question is everything in Disney. You all know, being Disney fans and kind of neck deep in Disney stuff, that Disney is very protective of its characters and its worlds and the things that Disney creates, and that applies outside of Disney just as much as it applies within Disney. So there are definitely people who oversee these characters and these properties, and they definitely, it's the property is theirs to control and to kind of approve, and so we definitely had to pass everything in the toy box that is themed to property. The owner of that property got to see it, got to have a chance to vet it, say what they thought about it, take a look, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we had a lot of freedom, and we kind of took advantage of that freedom, not in a negative way, but in a proper way, to explore Disney's catalog which is huge, of all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it still had to go through the right channels and go through the proper people. So, for example, the Phineas and Ferb stuff, Dan and Swampy. Oh, hi, there's a cat on my chair.
It just floated right over your ear.
Dan and Swampy had to take a look at our Phineas and Ferb stuff and say what they thought about it. And definitely the Tron group had to. So our director had to go out and show the Tron group our Tron stuff and say, here's the Tron stuff for the game. What do you think? Yeah. So it's a definite kind of respect within the company for each other's creations.
Very cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cool. I totally forgot what I was going to ask before Steve asked, which is awesome. Oh, no, I remember now. So you said that you are essentially you worked on anything that is in the toy box, kind of not figure related, right? I'm kind of understanding that correctly. Yep. So does that also mean the playset toy boxes you worked on those assets as well?
When you say playset toy boxes, what do you mean?
So so Toy Story in Space just came out, and one of the things I absolutely loved about some of the stuff you unlock in that is the toy box textures with the constellations on the side, and because those are toy box, they're unlocked through the playsets. I was just wondering if that was different, or because it's
right.
Not. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. So everything, with very few exceptions, everything that's in the toy box came from our team. So yeah, the Toy Story in Space terrain textures that you're talking about were done by Scarlett Magre. who's on our team. So yeah, she did those. Just because of the differences in style and kind of targets for kind of what they're trying to do gameplay-wise and experience-wise. Not a ton of stuff came straight over from the playsets to the toy box. So we did get a lot of cues. Like a good example is the Gukano set piece that Lloyd is actually jumping around on right now. The Gukano in the toy box versus the Gukano in the game, two very different kind of concepts, right? Two very different experience goals with those two things. So we were kind of like, oh, what's in the playset? Oh, they have this goo volcano thing. Oh, well, let's make the toy box version, and that's kind of how it plays out.
And that's one thing I really love is that you can definitely see the connections and understand the connections, but they're varied and different. So when I go into my toy box, it's not like I'm playing the playset, and I actually kind of dig that because it adds variety to it.
Right, and that's early on. That was kind of the separation of like the toy box has its own design philosophy and play philosophy. The play sets have a different goal for their experience than we have, but they carry over with flavors of each other, kind of thing. So there's toy things in the play sets, even though the environment feels more serious, more realistic, I guess, for lack of a better word. But in the toy box, everything is a toy versions of things that exist elsewhere.
Interesting. Jason, I muted you. Do you have any specific questions that you'd like to ask? I can unmute you. Oops, I just muted him again. Sorry,
He's
Jason.
doing that on purpose.
Yeah, the subconscious speaks loudly here.
You're going to have to unmute yourself, Jason. I'm sorry. I will not touch the mouse now.
Put me on the spot. So I've been concentrating on getting a gold star. I just got the first gold star of the adventures.
You're racing 3 guys.
Gold stars.
I'll come up with a question right now. Just hang on a second. Let me think. No, I'm sorry. You have to come back to me. But I'll think of one in any minute.
The wealth of infinity knowledge. No, that's not true.
I
box.
have another one. This one's short.
Yeah.
Okay, so the day comes that you've finished, you've mastered your thing, and you're happy with it, and it gets approved, and we're putting it on a disc for the world to enjoy. How quickly do your gears start turning with what you want to start working on next? You don't have to say what it is, but like, is it day one? I have an idea, and this is where I'm going, or
So that day that everything is done, I think everybody's heads have been full of ideas since 3 months ago.
okay.
There's just so much. If we were just like, all right, we're making, Toy Story 3 the game, that would be one thing. But we gave it the name Infinity. That's kind of the target that we're reaching for. So just opening up a game to everything that Disney is doing, has done, could do. Our minds there's just a constant churn of ideas, I would say. It doesn't stop.
It's just a creative cycle of craziness. You're just always going. Okay.
Yeah, even when we're heads down, just trying to finish what we got, and we're not adding anything new. There's still like those moments of, oh, I wish we could have. Oh, wouldn't it be awesome if? Oh, next time, or if there is a next time, or we don't even know. But there's just notes and drawings and just a constant churn of would have, could have, should haves, and yeah, I would say, in that respect, it's kind of unlike a project that I've worked on so far. I'm fairly young in the industry, but it was very unique in that respect of like, oh, we could do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And in your final product, when it was all done, are there any tiny Worth Easter eggs that you put in? So, like, if we're playing and in the background we see, like, your cat's face, we'll know that that was you. Is there anything that you did?
Yes.
Yes! All right.
So there's some hidden mutated jellyfishes instead of hidden Mickeys?
No, nothing so overt. Just because, and I make a point to say that because they kind of frown on inserting Easter eggs and all that stuff these days. But you know, in places where, like, so in Tron, for example, you know, in Tron, that universe, there's just kind of like code and numbers and, you know, sci-fi things all over the place. So if you're gonna need a random number to put in, because that's what visually looks cool.
You put in Jason's social security number.
I might as well put in people's. No. So I have, like, I think my wife's birthday is in there, you know, as random numbers, stuff like that. So really innocuous stuff that's not going to offend anybody, stuff that doesn't really mean anything to anybody except me.
Very cool.
Yeah, but they try not to encourage injecting things into the game in that respect due to some past experiences of other games.
Got it.
Okay, I've got a question. I remembered one. Well, no, I thought of one.
Yes, Jason, Australia.
It might not be your area, I don't know, but can you speak to the difference between the Wii and the PS3 versions as far as the textures and stuff like that? Like, is that something that you had to work on? Do you have to create lesser textures for the Wii version of the game? And possibly, I know Will was saying he thought maybe even the iPad might have had slightly different textures than the full version games, or is it just us seeing something weird?
What was that last part?
Is it just our eyes that are bad and the textures are all the same, or do you have to develop different textures for the different consoles?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And yes, the Wii being what it is and being when it is from, has its whole own set of requirements and stipulations and limitations and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, for the Wii version, it's very much like kind of making two versions of the same thing, trying to optimize both versions to each. So yes, there's a vast difference between developing games for PS3, Xbox 360, Wii U versus the Wii. Very different.
But is that like a whole full-on set of assets? Like you have a completely set of new colorings that you've done for those versions, or is it some form of software that you can just sort of downscale, so to speak, whatever you've done for the other one?
A lot of stuff has to be kind of custom tuned to the Wii. Some people, I mean, I don't know how they do it in other companies, but you would think you could automate that. But a lot of stuff we touched personally, so I had to go back and kind of go, okay, what's the best way to do this within the restrictions that we have? But yeah, definitely.
So I kind of have a follow-up question to that.
Yep.
So I haven't played the Wii version, but I've seen parts of it, and as Jason alluded, I have played the iPad, and I've wondered if the iPad was similar. There's many assets that, at least physically, are the same, maybe just a little bit lower resolution. Is that kind of true? I mean, like when you worked on the Tron background and the texture, is that the one that's in Wii or the iPad possibly just a different resolution maybe, or is it like is it converted like Jason was kind of asking? Is it like, okay, they took your Sky Dome and had to actually tweak it and or change it from the ground up just looking at your visual style?
Yeah, and I didn't have a ton to do with the the iPad stuff personally.
Okay.
But I know just because I know developing for the iPad versus what our flagship platform was. That's kind of a similar situation of different restrictions, different technical limitations, and different concerns there.
Well,
So-
I know it's kind of hard, but I guess my question is so when I see it on the iPad or the Wii, am I still looking at your work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Kind of.
At the base level, yeah. So everything on the Wii and iPad is derivative, so to speak, of the stuff that we did. So the way development works generally is you pick a flagship platform, you develop for that, and then any other platforms from there you kind of try to pull from what you've already done and make it work in the other platforms. So yeah, my work is in there, but there's also work of the iPad guys who kind of custom tune and tinker and even redo in some cases, you know. So I don't want to downplay the work that those guys did to get such a game working on a little tablet. I think is pretty astounding.
Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal feat, and I mean that is mind-blowing when you really think about what's happening there. So, does anyone in the chat room have, or Justin in the call, do you have any questions? Justin, you are muted, but if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
Yeah, Justin, who is this mystery man?
Question mark. I wonder if he may not have a he may just be watching. He may not have a mic. I hate to say this, Worth, but it's kind of difficult for me because I spoke to you so much and the art team. Hey, there's Pirate Steven. He's a friend of ours. He's been on this guy's pretty smart and witty, so I guarantee he's gonna have some fun questions for you.
I saw the Halloween podcast.
So Worth, does that mean you're a fan of ours just like we're a fan of yours?
I try to catch the podcast every week. I know Chad and I watch it as much as we can. We swap notes and whatnot. So you guys are definitely being watched.
I apologize for anything I've said.
No, and
the game.
I'm conscious to even admit that some of us watch your show because we don't want to be the mouse, so to speak, looking over your shoulder.
Jason's he's our resident truth teller, so he always steers us in the right direction. If I start drinking the Kool-Aid too much, he's like, "Come on, Will."
Yeah.
So you got Tron in there, and you spoke about this earlier. You got Tron in there because you're just obviously such a big fan. I'll leave it up to you whether or not you can talk about this at all or not. But was there anything else that you were just like a diehard fan on that you wished you could have put into Disney Infinity 1 that either didn't make the cut because of the way production happens or just didn't have time to work on?
Oh, geez. Yes is the answer to that question. So speaking from myself, obviously, let's see. Stuff that I personally would love to. So this is my wish list, my dream list. You know.
Sure.
So no promises or anything of that sort. Gravity Falls. I love Gravity Falls.
Interesting.
I would love to see that. It's my favorite Disney cartoon. It's like one of my all-time favorites.
I know, right? So much stuff. Such a especially from an environment artist perspective, looking at the Mystery Shack and all the crap that they have in there. So cool.
I've never seen it. I apologize. I read about it on the forums all the time.
Yeah, Gravity
It's my
Falls.
favorite Disney cartoon by far. It's awesome.
Let's see. What else? Aladdin. That's on a ton of people's list, I know, at work and in the past. So Actually, speaking of Aladdin, the palace pieces were mine as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Was the Cave of Wonders also yours?
No, Cave of Wonders was Reed Hawker again.
Okay. Oh
Um,
yeah, you said that, I think.
Yeah, but I did the palace pieces, and that was another one of those things that I was like, I think I'm just gonna do some of these and just
Turn it off.
put them in the game. And so I did, and then now they're in the game.
That's awesome because those palace pieces, they're so diverse and it allows you to just do so much as far as building goes. I love those.
Yeah, those and the Pirate Town pieces kind of came about at the same time. When we were like, well, we have all these blocks and you can make kind of cool structures out of these blocks. What if we had blocks that looked like buildings? And then it turned into Pirate Town and Aladdin Palace.
I have a question for you that I didn't get to ask or didn't have time to the other day. So with the play sets, those are obviously there's parameters that you have to work within, and there's a certain amount that I would assume is dictated in as far as what's included and what isn't, simply because of if you're working on Toy Story in Space, then Toy Story in Space. But with the toy box, everything is just so open and the world's your oyster. Like, can you describe the process of kind of like what everyone has their wish list, and you just talked a little bit about yours. So how did you take everyone's wish list and kind of narrow it down and finally get to a point that was manageable and that you could be like, okay, well we can make sure that these items get in here?
Yeah, that's a great question. So kind of a production process question. So we're not, like I said before, we're not the rogue agents that we like to make ourselves out to be. There is some semblance of order to the whole process. But initially, the list begins by people other than us figuring out, what the play sets are going to be. It's going to be Incredibles, Toy Story, etc. And then how are we going to support those in the toy box? Well, we're going to have customization sets for those things. We're going to have XYZ set pieces and all that kind of stuff. But from there, it kind of extends outward to the power discs. What are the power disc guys coming up with? What do they want to do? And that kind of stems from what they think cool properties are that will be worth putting on a physical item that people are going to want to buy. Because you want to put, some random Disney Channel TV movie kind of thing on a power disc, because who wants,
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people want anything, but you know what I mean. So got to support the power disc, and then from there, it's what the question really becomes: what do we need to make the toy box as cool as possible to as many people as possible in the time that we have, and then it goes from there. So it, like I said in the interview, our team. I can't speak for other teams, but our team particularly, it was very important to us that people work on things that they feel personally passionate about. So Tron is a good example. I wanted Tron in the game. I love that visual look of the movie. Say whatever you want about the movie, but the visuals are so cool, right? Mm-hmm. And I just, as an artist, as a 3D artist, I wanted to work in that style. And here was the opportunity to, somebody was saying, hey, that thing that you think is really cool? You could do that too. You could work in that too. And, of course, I'm going to take that opportunity. So there's stuff like Alice in Wonderland, another one of those. Not that it wasn't on any lists, but the people who worked on it were the people who really thought it was so cool and really wanted to do cool stuff with it. And so it really kind of stems from our own fandom and our own love of Disney. And we have a story team that's really super passionate about, they're the Disney nerds among the company full of Disney nerds. And they were constantly coming up, oh, you should totally do this, and you should totally do that, and you should totally do that. So it kind of becomes this churning engine of Disney fandom that that creates this huge list of ideas, and then it just becomes, well, let's do as many of these as we can before we run out of time, and before we kill ourselves and drive our families away, and all the stuff that game development produces. So I would say more than anything.
Sorry.
After we, Will just dropped the mic on us.
I'm still here, though.
After we took care of the core game design things, which is play sets and power discs and that kind of stuff, then it became well, what's cool? Sword of the Stone? That's really cool. Let's do that.
I asked you the other day when I asked the art team if there was any funny stories. It's kind of along those lines. Were there any kind of fights where people were just so passionate about a particular property and it's like, oh, I want that. No, I want that. I want that. And that you guys kind of had to draw straws for it or anything?
As far as who wanted to work on what? Yeah, generally the tasks were large enough that if a couple people wanted to both work on something, then they could just double team it or do a team up. There were some things that we, all six of us, were just like, all right, let's take this week and let's just make this thing. Trying to think of anybody like pulling each other's hair, punching each other in the face. Wasn't too much of that.
Well, it sounds like if you kind of wanted to, there's something you could do with it or for it.
Yeah, and we were all pretty cool about like, seeing what somebody's working on, like, oh, you're working on that. That's so cool. Instead of being like, oh, you're working on that. I should be working on that. Trying to keep the drama on the as little as possible. I mean, it's a Disney game, after all. Let's not.
Awesome. Lloyd, have you come up with? Oh, you might be AFK. Have you come up with any?
Oh, poor Buzz, alone in space, staring at his own constellation on the wall.
Yeah, no, I'm just messing around with the crystal Buzz right now. So sorry.
Oh, look, there he is, Crystal.
Oh, wow. Jerk. Is that
he's,
him?
He's pretty awesome.
Oh, wow, he does look cool.
He's pretty glowy. I like it.
So, Worth,
do we know if he's going to be in a single package?
We don't know. The rumor is, though, that he's not going to be in single package, which is kind of a bummer.
I would tell you if I knew. Before you ask, I don't know.
They had a pre-order on Amazon France for a single pack.
Really? So there's a possibility, and you never know, especially with some of these exclusives. So, Steve, do you have any more questions for Worth?
No, I think I got 45 minutes of non-answerable questions out of him. No, I'm just joking. He answered all of them really well.
Awesome, Jason. Do you have anything else? Since I had to.
Well, let me do the one. I have to ask. How much pressure are you putting on the powers that be to get the end-all, be-all Emperor's New Groove made and into the hands of millions of people as soon as possible?
Yes. No.
You have to be careful how to answer that, because you'll just wake up one day and there'll be 80 DVDs shipped to your house.
I know.
That's a threat
watch.
you make.
It is. You wait. It's like my favorite.
We do not support or condone Steve's behavior. As far
it's okay,
as
I do. I support and condone his behavior.
I can't trust you, Will. 1 second I think that you're enjoying my humor, and then the next you're not condoning it. Come on.
Well, no.
Let me take a look here in the chat room in case anybody asks any questions.
Yeah, I've got a question. What's the inspiration for the little Village People toy thing? You know, like the little characters that are in Disney. Is that inspired by some particular type of toy?
The little blockheads?
Yeah, little blockheads. Yeah. What?
The Hall of Heroes.
Yeah,
the blockheads. were created in Avalanche before my times. I can't really speak to what the thought process was when they created those. I think the desire was to kind of create this cool, cute little template that they could kind of put all these different costumes on and kind of make them a little personality that you can have in your world. But that's just me guessing. They were kind of a Toy Story 3 invention, and that was a little before me.
Okay.
Jason, that's an excellent question. We'll be rolling an interview with Matthew Armstrong later, and actually talks a little bit about that. So
Yeah, you would probably know better than I.
It just seems to me like you see all the little characters running around and you're like almost disappointed. Like, clearly they thought of putting, like, what's this, one of the Muppets in there. I think, where's the Muppet thing? It seems almost like the graveyard. Like, we can't do that this time, so we'll throw in a little blockhead and allude to the fact that, yeah, we could have done that.
Right, and that would be a good question for somebody on the character team. But there's just so much, like I was saying before, I can't say this, there's so much Disney. We were, we probably did 1/6, 1/8 of the amount of stuff that everybody wanted to. We would have been in production for like 10 years if we tried to do everything that we wanted to do, just as our own wants. Never mind what we think the fans would want.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and I guess, I mean, that is the great thing about Infinity, right? That there's hopefully going to be another one, and hopefully that train will just continue on. And so, who knows? We might get all of our wishes one day. Is that
That would
Pirate
be a
Steven?
bright future. Steven.
He comes in and out. I can't
Yeah.
tell if he's in here or not.
Who, me?
You should go in the chat room.
No, sorry, Pirate Steven. The cool one. Just kidding.
I'm out. I'm muting my line.
Oh, you know I love you.
Oh, he left.
He did peace out. So I know with some of the other devs, we thought about actually having some play sessions this time around with some developers. Have you gotten a chance to actually get in there and play the game after it shipped, or do you just, I don't know. I know you. I'm sure you still get to like see the assets and stuff at work and stuff like that. But have you actually just kind of gotten a retail copy that you can play with and actually experience, kind of as a fan after it's all said and done?
I have. They gave us copies. I have a PS3 copy, but no PS3 personally. So it's definitely on my list, my wish list of things, but I have not actually gone through a clean retail copy from the beginning and played the game. Others on the team are doing that, have been doing that, but
Yeah.
That said, I do play the game every day, but in the capacity of work, so it's a lot of really ugly stuff and islands in the middle of the void looking at toys and stuff like that.
So you've been working on this game for so long, and your experience is obviously much different than the way we see it, even if it's just visually. But I would assume you obviously love what you do as well. So does it ever get like just like work, or are you just constantly? Is it just a fun experience and new challenges and?
That's a great question, and probably a good question for anybody out there who might be thinking about getting into games or getting into working in commercial art of any sort. It's the funnest job I've ever had in my life.
Really?
My short life, but working on Infinity was a blast. It's odd to have a job where you can get to a Sunday night kind of situation where you're going to bed and you're cool with going to work in the morning. And that to me is really kind of a unique, valuable thing for me to have in my life. But Perry the Platypus ringtone.
Crap, I'm sorry, I forgot I wasn't muted.
It was perfect accent to what I was saying. But that said, it's a job, and it's a hard job. So it is kind of a catch-22 type situation, and especially game dev or working in movies, film, any of this kind of jobs with deadlines and dates you got to meet, and big projects where the solutions to finish those projects are you have to make them up. It's not just all right, put this thing together and go assembly line kind of thing. Those types of jobs are going to be super hard occasionally. So it's definitely work, but it's work that I found very enjoyable, which is weird to me. I've never been in that situation where you're like, I'm working harder than I've ever worked in my life, and it's so much fun. So I don't want to sugarcoat it. It's definitely, and there are some people who, you know, they get to the end of a production cycle and they're just done, and they go get a job waiting tables or working at a, you know, receptionist somewhere, whatever. So there's a burnout rate for sure. So it's work.
I was speaking with Matthew earlier, and it's a common theme, which is just amazing that it seems like the group you work with and the others that just at the company that aren't necessarily directly on your team are very passionate about what they do, and it seems like the teamwork there is just crazy awesome, and I would imagine that would be quite fulfilling as far as a job, and it just making life so much easier just day in and day out, because you spend hours and hours and hours upon hours with these people, and just the fact that you all kind of enjoy what you're doing, I'm sure goes a long ways.
Yes. Yeah. So in some of the, you know, in some of the heavier times, you might be in this room with these people for 12 hours a day, 5-6 days a week, you know, depending on what your schedule is, and you learn to like who you work with. Hopefully you like them anyway. But if you don't, I mean, it's just like any situation like that. You learn to enjoy it, and a project like this, it has to be done as a team. You can't, you know, like you for example, you asked the question, you know, were there fights over, you know, certain things, certain projects or art assets that that we had, and there really weren't any, because you have to learn to let those things go. You have to be like, I can't make everything. Yeah. I can't do Tron and Alice in Wonderland and Sugar Rush and Wreck-It Ralph because I love all of them. I can't. You just can't. You'll die. So you gotta be like, I love Sugar Rush so much. You work on it and make it really awesome, and I want to watch what you produce. You just have to learn to work as a team and not be a prima donna artist about stuff.
Well, and it's so interesting. One thing I love about Infinity, I've been a video game player all my life, and although it's obviously different sitting on this side than it is on your side, but the thing I've experienced with Infinity that I really have never experienced with any game I've ever loved or have played or just been involved in is that the people that work on this game and those involved with Infinity are so committed to it, and like you said, so many of you are fans yourselves, and it just seeps through to the end product. I just think that's really, really awesome. That's just not like, okay, you're done with Infinity, let's wipe our hands and move on to the next thing. It's like you're still staying involved with Infinity while working on whatever you're working on next, and that's just really cool.
If that, as you say, shows through, bleeds through to the end product, then thank God, you know. That, I think at the end of the day, that was really any of our wishes, that at the very least let the player feel that we love it too. The worst thing is when you get, you're a fan of a property, you're super stoked about these characters or this world, whatever it is. You go and you buy the game, and it's just kind of like a afterthought, and you feel like, oh man, like I love this thing, but these people who made this, and I just gave them money, and they just don't,
Yeah.
It feels terrible, and we all know, and the whole movie game kind of baggage that comes with being a movie game. We're Avalanche. We make movie games. We're aware of that, and that's not the kind of games we want to make, and especially not for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Disney means so much, and it has all kinds of connotations, and got people like you and the fans here on the forums and everything. Those are the people that we want to pick up the game and say, hey, somebody like me made this. Somebody who gets what I feel worked on this. And if that comes through, then mission accomplished, I guess.
Absolutely.
That's the most we could ever ask for, in my opinion.
So have you heard any water cooler chat, so to speak? I guess a couple of questions. One, are people generally impressed with what the community are creating in the toy boxes? And also, have you got any idea of roughly how many people are submitting toy boxes each week?
I don't know those numbers.
Is it high, mid? Any idea whatsoever?
I literally have no idea how many people are
Could
submitting.
be 5 for all we know.
Right. You could be the only one. They're all just coming from Basin. No.
But yeah, so are people impressed? Have you heard people being sort of like impressed with it? Has anyone done anything that the creators yourselves have thought, well, we didn't even think you could do that with that particular,
Oh, for sure. And that was kind of what we were banking on a little bit. When you sit down to create a thing, like a block or a pirate building or whatever, you're really worrying about, is this on property? Is this, does this fit the restrictions? You're worrying about a lot of stuff, but you're hoping in the back of your mind that when the player gets this, they won't have all of that junk to worry about. They'll just see a thing and be like, what's a cool way? This looks like that, or what's, like that Alice in Wonderland toy box that they released. One of the community toy boxes that they released with you go through and there's the big hedge maze, and at the end there's like the castle with the hearts in the blocks and all that stuff. So cool. And that was the kind of stuff that we were hoping, like we can't see that almost through all of the particulars that we have to worry about, but we were like, we hope that this becomes like, that people see the potential here that we just can't because we're too close to it. We're looking at stuff from 2 inches away. So yeah, there's definitely stuff like that we're just like, whoa, they use blocks as bushes? Like, just stupid stuff like that we're like, we never even thought about that. But it's, so yeah, for sure.
Welcome, Justin. You are in here live with us, and I don't know if you've been listening, but welcome.
Just joined.
If you have any questions for Worth, since you're just joining, he is one of the many toy box artists in the game, so that's our discussion.
Daddy. Cool.
Who is that?
So yeah, if you just feel free to jump on in if you want to say anything or have any specific questions. So.
All right, that's cool.
I was gonna actually start wrapping it up here.
That's okay.
Worth, I did kind of give you and the rest of the team the opportunity the other day when I talked to the toy box artist, and you also kind of just talked a little bit about the fans. Do you have anything that you would like us to know, or us to just anything really? I mean, do you have anything you'd like to say to us? I guess, and when I say us, I mean the fans.
No comment.
You hate us. You hate you guys.
Could you please stop posting on the forum? It's just a little... No, my goodness. When stuff like the forum and the podcast and all this kind of stuff started cropping up, it wasn't a part of us and what we were doing, and it was totally out of nowhere. At least for me, like I've never been on a project that people were just felt compelled to go online and find other fans and be together with fans. Like I think it was really cool for all of us to see at Avalanche, and really cool to be a part of something that has people so excited, that has people to the point of stuff like this, the whole Extra Life thing. You guys are playing for way too long, more than is healthy, and and the podcasts and the forums and all the stuff that the community is doing just because they are excited. That means a lot. That means a ton to everybody at Avalanche when they're 12-hour days grinding through stuff to come up the other side of that. I mean, I guess I can't speak for everybody at Avalanche, but as far as I see it, to see this kind of stuff happen for something that we care so much about, it is really cool. And we definitely want to be a part of the fandom as much as we can. So I'm on the forums, like I say in the interview that'll go out tomorrow. Anybody who wants to message me on the forums, please message me. If you watching the hangout and you want to ask a question, but we won't let you in, or whatever, message me. And if I can't tell you, then I'll tell you that I can't tell you. And you'll get mad and go and hate us forever. But oh well. But the fan stuff is just so cool. It's so cool.
And with that, like now you kind of know, you've seen how it's been received, but before you had no idea. Like you were saying earlier, you're hoping and you're working on this with such passion and exuberance, and you're just hoping that what you're working on is received well, and that's just got to be an amazing relief once you finally saw the excitement behind the game pre-launch, and then after it, that the steam really hasn't dropped off any, and I would imagine it's only gonna get even stronger with the holidays coming up. So that's got to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's sure as heck better than the alternative, right? It would be very, very dark picture if it was the opposite. But yeah, for sure. I mean, we all hoped this was all like nobody expected, but everybody was really hoping that this would kind of be a thing, and this could be as special as we all wanted it to be, and to see it be that to so many people. Like when it launched, I would go on Instagram for like a month after we launched, and I'd search for the tag, and people posting Instagram where they take a picture of their TV because they can't post a screenshot. Take a picture of the TV of their toy box, and it was just like mind blowing that was my work.
That's awesome.
That people were playing with, and like people's kids, and showing like, yeah, I see people on Halloween with like infinity bags going trick or treating, and I'm just like, I made that, I did it, and you like it, and it's really cool.
Awesome. Edwin, welcome to the Hangout, and this is just pretty open, an open forum. So if you have any questions for Worth, Toy Box Artist on Disney Infinity, just go ahead and ask away.
Hey, Will, I just thought I would point out that Steve, the main host of the Media Meltdown Mousecast, is in the room right now.
Oh, that's Steve. Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's me.
There he is right now. Hey, that's him right there on that picture.
Steven. Hello, Steven.
Hello.
Yes.
Actually,
Steve.
too many Steves.
Stephen, I see your question there, and I don't know if you saw when we started off. We are focusing on stuff that has been announced and either worked on or released. So I think you can go ahead and ask your question just in the context of Disney Infinity 1 if you'd like.
Yeah, any plans on any of the international parks showing up on the, the more recent announcements like Disney Seas or anything from Europe, Disneyland Paris, or anything?
As far as...
castles or rides or for the toy box.
Oh.
Maybe I can frame this question a little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Again, and I'm sorry, just because I want to make sure that we get this opportunity again. But there are some park items currently in Infinity 1. We have like Autotopia, Matterhorn, Epcot, Spaceship Earth. When those types of
Earth.
Did you really?
Did you really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I should run down all of the huge list of stuff that I do.
Definitely some of the notables, because I'm sure a lot of people would love to hear that. But when you were looking at those types of items, did you think about looking at international parks and international park landmarks for some of those? Like, for example, I want to say, well, we have the Haunted Mansion, Disneyland Haunted Mansion in the game. Was there a look at the new Haunted Manor? And I think, Steven, actually, you could let me know. Is that Tokyo or Shanghai?
Yeah, I believe it's Tokyo right now, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, as far as what, like the park stuff, we're Utah-based, so we're all more familiar with Disneyland, so Anaheim. And then secondary to that, just behind that, is kind of the Orlando Disney World. But we're open to anything that's cool. It's harder for the international parks for us to know what's cool, to be able to judge that, because we've never been there. But we're not. I'll say this: I don't know of anything that's like off limits or anything like that. There's no directive that's like, no, you can't do anything from Tokyo or whatever. And in fact, I do think that the castle pieces are based on Euro Disney's castle.
Oh, really?
I want to say. I think. Yeah, because it has the more. Well, maybe that's not true. Maybe it's Disney World Castle. I forget which castle it is. I didn't work on the castle pieces, but.
Which version of the Agrabah pieces then? Was that Disneyland Agrabah or? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the ancient Greece Agrabah for Hercules. Yeah, but where we try to look everywhere, anywhere there's cool Disney stuff. So movies, parks, anything. Nobody's really come back and said, no, not this one thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there just a long list of wishes and wants that you're just like constantly adding to as a group?
Yes. Yeah, we all kind of keep our own list, at least on our team. So we all compare lists and swap lists and say, wouldn't it be cool if, and yeah, the lists will never end. We'll get to the end of the earth and we'll still have more Disney stuff that we wish we could put in the game.
Edwin, did you have any questions for Worth?
Any future potential figures that you guys are thinking of? I mean, unannounced, that you're kind of toying with.
I wish I could.
Releasing?
I wish I could answer those questions, but I cannot.
I kind of figured.
Yeah. I would. Yeah. So.
Basically, what Worth is saying, he wants to be able to work on Tron again if that's at all possible, and he doesn't want to.
That'd be awesome.
Got a family. I gotta support money. Gotta keep getting money.
So Pirate Steven, or should I say Saint Steven, finally looks like you're in here now. You're wearing a different type of hat this time.
Yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania waiting for the Saints game tomorrow, and I have the worst internet connection you could possibly imagine. So that's why I'm popping in and out.
Yeah, I noticed. Jeez. Sorry, I gotta fix this camera. You can keep talking though.
That's all I had to say. I'm just hanging out on my mancation, and I wanted to give you guys a shout out and thanks for playing for 25 hours and getting everybody to donate. I think that's awesome.
Well, thank you,
And
Steve Pirate.
Thanks for
helped out
developing
with
the
that.
game for the developers. That's pretty sweet.
We did it for you, Steven.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks.
Because I was getting bored
Did you
of
watch
playing
the
Madden.
credits to the very, very end? I know there's like 20 minutes of them. It
Oh, you
says
have Pirate
for
Steven on the end?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my figure, by the way.
The Pirate Steven IGP, the Pirate Steven figure.
So would that be a
Yeah,
pirate
I
with a
couldn't
pirate
get
hat?
I couldn't get my pirate hat over the helmet. I was trying to get the hat over the helmet. It did not work, so I'm just gonna go with the helmet today.
That would have been epic.
Yeah, it's cold here in Pennsylvania. I'm a southern boy, and it is cold.
Speaking of pirates, you guys should do an ECU pirate.
Are you in South Carolina, Edwin?
No, North Carolina.
North Carolina. Is that north? I used to live near there, so well, no, I didn't. My parents did. Anyway.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
I have lost track of how many people we have in this chat room. So, questions, guys? Do you need to get going pretty soon, Worth? We have another interview set up for 40 minutes from now, but
Yeah, you're gonna talk to Chad soon, yeah?
Yep. He's gonna.
That will be a good interview.
Yeah, well, what I'm hoping to do is just tell. I'm gonna go to him and I was like, so Worth said this is gonna be in the game.
Good. That'll be good. Yeah, just make up a bunch of stuff. Like, Worth said, I don't know, you're doing all these play stats and the characters. Yeah, we'll give him a heart attack.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, he really looks out for you guys, so that's really awesome. He's like, I mean, he trusts everyone, but he wants to make sure everyone is on the up and up, so they don't get in trouble, which is cool.
Well, sure. If we don't screw this up, then we could keep doing it.
Heck
maybe.
Yes.
And I think that's what we all want. If my camera would stay.
Can I ask
It's
a question
clipped on
about
a. Yeah.
I don't know where I read it. I saw it somewhere, but it was pointed out. It was kind of interesting. The whole, like, you know how Disney overtook Times Square to advertise the game and stuff. At what point did Disney decide we're going to go hardcore and promote this thing? Because it is not very normally these games, particularly Disney games, I don't know whether you heard me mention that the last good Disney game, in my opinion, was DuckTales on the NES. So at what point did Disney, was this like a preemptive move that they thought we're just going to create a game that we're going to try and make massive, or did they see what you were creating and then think this is going to be massive, let's put extra resources behind its promotion?
Great question. Would be a good question for the marketing team. But the vibe was, I mean, just like how the toy box evolved and everything, the whole game kind of evolved. The excitement internally for the game kind of evolves over time as more and more people kind of got the conceit of it, what it was, and what the possibilities were for it. I think in some interviews, John Lasseter talked about how at first he was really like, what? I don't know about this thing. And then, as you kind of, introduced the toys and how that all came about, he kind of caught the vision. And that's kind of the process that we all went through. It was a similar thing, and until it just gradually turned into something that everybody was pretty excited about. So I couldn't tell you, what went on in the meetings where, whatever they decided, but it was definitely like a train. Started out really slow, kind of a lot of people like, all right, this sounds cool, might be cool, let's see what happens. And then as it picked up steam, stuff started getting playable, and then people were like, oh, I get it, wow, And that was definitely how the toy box was, and I think that's kind of how the title was at large.
And I guess it's probably an unanswerable question for you, but I'll ask it anyway.
I will amaze you by answering it.
We've talked about it on the show a few times, but is there sort of a vibe that going forward that Disney Infinity could be an alternative to franchise games other than like the traditional, making a full-on PS3 Frozen game, maybe shifting that mentality to maybe just using something like an Infinity platform to, produce content for movies and promotions and so on?
Yeah, as much. I think you guys know, I've heard as much about that as I have from the various videos and interviews and stuff, but I think that is a lot of people's intention, to kind of use Infinity as that platform to support Disney events and properties and that kind of stuff, and kind of give the Disney universe a place to live on consoles in the gaming space, if that is a good way to put it.
Yeah, that's good news. By the way, I just found out I had no idea you could turn into a crow, a pontoon in Disney Infinity. I just discovered that right now.
You can do what?
You can turn into a crow.
Yeah, or whatever this bird is, whatever this black bird is carrying like a poker chip. I don't know what it is.
It's a talisman.
This is breaking news to me.
Jason, we might have to discuss. You're supposed to be like an expert over here.
Well, I'm an expert.
I know, I'm kidding.
You can turn into a crow.
I don't even know everything that's in this gigantic game.
Worth, I'm curious, how could you talk a little bit about, and this is not necessarily, this is a Worth question, not an Infinity question, but can you tell us a little bit about how you got on board with Avalanche Studios and kind of what led you down the path of concept artist and video game creator?
Yes. I went to video game person creator school. Get my degree.
Oh, okay, good. Is that what it says on there? That's a long title.
Yeah, it doesn't fit on the degree. I need to. Yeah, that's a great question. So, let's see. This is one of those questions where I could go back. I was born in... No, but, so I went to college here in Utah, locally, and Avalanche is here in Utah. And there's a bunch of guys, a bunch of people in the company who also went to the same school, Brigham Young University, down in Provo. And there's been an animation program at BYU for a while now, since 2004, 2005-ish, where they mainly work on film stuff. Over the years, they've slowly started getting more influx of people who wanted to go into video games. So I was in that group that was kind of doing film stuff at school because that was the degree, but then was working on video game stuff at home, which is what I really wanted to do, and I've always wanted to do. And so it kind of came about that way, that Avalanche has a very awesome internship program. So usually every year for the summer they go out and try to get a good, healthy group of interns to come in. And they pay them, and you get to work on real stuff. You're not, doing assignments that'll never see the light of day. So super awesome program. I applied to that program towards the tail end of my college career, and they seemed to like me enough. However that magic happens of getting hired. So I got onboarded there through the internship program, and then turned into what I am now. Yeah. So I guess my degree is in animation. I'm not an animator. the program I was in was more broad than just animation. And then my title is environment artist. So, yeah.
This is totally a side note, but did you know that Children's Miracle Network is headquartered in Salt Lake as well? So you guys are like literally like neighbors. You're like right down the street from each other.
Oh wow!
So
crazy.
Food for thought.
So were you on board from day one?
Yes. My first day at Avalanche was the first day of full production on Infinity. So there's a lot of pre-production going on where there's kind of, concept artists and a skeleton crew, and they're trying to figure out if the idea is worth pursuing. And then there's a bunch of legal stuff that they got to go through with higher-ups and people out of my pay grade. But eventually the project is greenlit, and then they have a big kickoff where they say, all right, let's make this. And that was my first day at the company. It was a big meeting all about...
How long of a process was it from, start day one to first demo and first release?
I think altogether it was several years. Don't quote me on the exact numbers there, but several years of pre-production, and then a couple years of solid production with the full team. Yeah, so it's been in the works for a long time.
Yeah, it definitely shows. It definitely looks like it's such a labor of love as far as, it definitely shows in the game. Yeah, that's definitely a ton of work.
Yeah, for sure. Well, from where we were sitting, it seemed like a ton of work. So.
Well, it's pays off. It's amazing.
Awesome.
Steve-O, I know you're a Disney man. Do you have any more Disney-specific questions? Because I'm totally okay, Worth just hanging out, man, and while we play games and just having this be in an open conversation. If we have no specific questions until you need to take off or until our next interview. So.
Yeah. Why don't can I take 5? Is that acceptable?
Of course. And Steve-O, it sounds like you have a question, so maybe you could start things off when Worth gets back. So
absolutely.
If it's okay with you, Worth, maybe we could just mute you, and then you could just chat when you get back. Mute your video, and okay.
Sure.
Great.
That'd be great. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. Cool. Thanks, everyone. Feel free to stick around in the hangout. Worth's going to be back in just a few months. Actually, I need to take a break as well. So.
Break time.
Edwin, thanks for joining us, and Steve-O, thank you as well. I know Steve C reached out to you earlier today, and glad to see you on board.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was trying to help you guys out. I was surprised I was able to get on.
Well, unfortunately, Google Plus does sometimes have its issues, and some people were having issues getting on earlier. But glad you were able to make it. And so you saw the tweet, Edwin. I don't know if you noticed, but on InsideDisneyInfinity.com/extra life, we have the live stream of I think right now, is it you, Jason, that's playing live? And
yeah.
Oh, that's right. That is today.
Yep.
I need to get on there.
Yeah, and if you sounds like you have it from one of the systems, so feel free to play with. We have all systems covered except for Wii. We have the Wii U.
Come on.
Yeah. Well, I want to say
I got the Wii U.
You could play with Lloyd then. Do you happen to have a Magic Band by chance? Because he was asking around earlier. He's like, I would love to get someone with the Magic Band to unlock that for him.
I don't. I haven't been down since they've instated the Magic Band ticketing system yet.
Well, it was really cool. I don't know if you guys know this, but it's really cool that you can actually. I had a friend unlock it for me. I don't own one, and we jumped online in a toy box together, and it actually was able to unlock for me.
Yeah, I'm excited just to go down and get the Magic Band so I can unlock, some of the special stuff. And I'm sure once they start rolling it out, they'll have more options that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
The more you go down, maybe the more, toy box or whatever unlockables you'll get.
All right, guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to step away for just a moment now.
All right, well, Steve and I will take over the show.
Yeah, let's take over this show. Okay.
All right, so Steve, this is the Media Meltdown Mousecast.
Hey, I'm sticking around for a moment. I got to listen to this.
You can follow us at Twitter at Media Meltdown PO.
We're all one big happy family here.
We're just going to go ahead and take over all the followers that you have. We're going to switch them all over. By the end of this, they're going to be following our extra life. So yeah, how's it going, everybody?
Where's
Yeah,
that?
good.
So how long have you guys been playing for? When did you guys start? About 4 hours ago?
Yeah, about that.
5.5, I think.
5.5.
Yeah, just before 1 o'clock my time. So yeah, yep.
Okay. I've been trying to tweet out your link so you get some more.
Yeah, you're doing a
donations.
good job. Thank you, Steve. Hello?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm concentrating
On what?
on tweeting out that you guys are live and need, people's support.
How about you support us, Steve?
Oh, I already did.
I'm just kidding. Steve, you've been on board since day one. So,
These adventures are really hard to get gold stars, I'll tell you what.
what was that?
These adventures, they're really hard to get gold stars. I need like 2 more to get the trophy, and killing.
Oh yeah, I know. You're playing Toy Story right now, right?
No, I'm playing the adventures with just going through all the default adventures, not the character-specific ones, trying to find the easiest ones to just get the gold star.
Well, which one is your favorite so far? Have you tried Sumo yet?
No, not yet. But I'd like the Lone Ranger one was really cool.
That's the one set I don't have, so I haven't tried that yet.
Well,
They're all good. Lone Ranger is really fun.
Is
It
it?
is.
Yeah. It's like Red Dead Redemption Light. It's a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool.
That's Jason, that's how you said it earlier, right? Didn't you say that same thing? It's sort of like the...
Yeah, definitely.
That's-
Red Dead Redemption. Yeah.
See, and I've never even played that, so I need to get on board.
Yes, you
You're
do.
a couple years behind on that one.
Shut up, Steve.
Aren't you a PlayStation Plus member? It was free on PlayStation Plus about 6 months ago.
Now, is everybody on the play? It looks like most people playing from the PlayStation, or does anybody have an Xbox version?
Will's on the Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Will's on the Xbox, I'm on the Wii U, and everybody else is on PS3.
Okay.
Wii U, yeah.
That's awesome. So, Steve, do you still play this with your son, or what?
I do, but we're in the middle of some heavy construction in the house, so we had to pack everything away. So I'm looking at all your Disney Infinities behind you, and I'm getting jealous.
Yeah, I had all my Nightmare Before Christmas Vinylmations up there earlier, but then Jason told me how inappropriate that was, being that we were doing an Infinity broadcast. So I
noticed those
I switched them out.
Vinylmations.
Yeah, they're all over this little room, but I
That's
switched them
awesome.
out just for this.
I'm disappointed that you're wearing a Pizza Planet and not a Media Meltdown Mousecast t-shirt, Steve.
Well, thank you for noticing, Steve. If I had a shirt, I would, but the guy that runs the show doesn't do a very good job of promoting.
Yeah, I know.
I
He
know.
stinks.
I know. We were at Comic-Con, and we had nothing to hand out.
So, if anybody's curious or interested, here's a close-up of the Crystal Buzz that I
Oh, there he is.
just got.
Oh, wow.
So he's see-through except for his armor.
Okay, that's what the new Crystal Buzz looks like.
I think that's actually one of the coolest looking ones.
Yeah, I think so. I really dig it. And then
Is
they
that,
have.
is that glowing, Floyd? I mean, that's not the glowing Buzz, right?
No, I think this is the glowing Buzz, but I don't think the glowing Buzz actually glows. Is the thing?
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. Unless they're coming out with another one. But
That is neat. That is
this
neat.
is the guy, and then it comes with these two discs: the Chrome, one of the damage increaser or whatever, and then the Zerg, which does melee damage. Chrome is for I guess projectile damage, and then the Zerg is for melee damage. So two more discs that are sure to come out in Series 2 or Series 3, but these ones have the red borders, so I guess they're kind of different. Yeah.
You know they're special.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And apparently the Scrooge McDuck's Penny is out today in stores, but we didn't get it in a blind pack, so I don't know how it's being released up here in Canada. It's probably different up here than it is down there in the States.
Yeah, it comes out tomorrow here.
Way up there.
What was that, Steve-O?
It says probably a lot nicer way than down here.
Yeah, it's like you show up and they have 3 of them, and you fight some little kids off to get it.
Get out of here, boy!
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like the blind packs personally, but they're better than only each store getting a couple of them. So right. I guess there's that.
Guess what, guys? It is almost 8 p.m. my time, which means we have almost gone through 6 hours of our Extra Life. We are almost a quarter of the way there.
Wow.
While you were gone, Steve-O decided to stay with us for the entire 25 hours on the screen.
So he's going to have to go until 2 p.m. tomorrow and then 6 more hours, right? And,
that's what he said. He is very upset that he missed the first part, and he's going to dedicate himself to at least being with us on the chat to answer questions.
Awesome.
DUC can never speak for me again.
All right, Worth, if you can hear us, you have to unmute your audio yourself, but otherwise your video's active again. So.
Hello.
You missed it. Lloyd just showed off the actual figure of Buzz. Can you hold that up to the camera again? I don't know if you've seen that, Worth. You might have like 10 of those behind you if he's not listening to us. So.
No, I have no crystal character. Believe it or not, we have to go out and fight the people at Toys R Us for our own crystal characters.
Really?
Just like everyone else. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I was just telling the group we are almost a quarter of the way through our 20. Well, not technically 20. Almost a quarter of our 25-hour.
That's crazy. Exciting. You guys have been playing for forever.
It seems that way, doesn't it? But the good thing about it is there's so much to do in this game.
Mm.
My wife came up a minute ago and she was asking, have I gotten up to pee yet? And I was like, yeah, I had to have gone. I've never gone that long. And then I was like, oh my god, I haven't got up to pee yet. It's a little disturbing.
That's much better than what I thought your conversation was going to be. No, I have gone pee. I just haven't gotten up to pee. This is going to be... Let's see.
Don't sit here. This is my chair.
That would be one that I would take to work and email to the entire office. Say, we made a game so awesome, a grown man wet himself.
That's a pretty liberal term when we're talking about Steve C.
Oh, man. Will.
A physically mature man. Man creature, humanoid.
I feel like my humor level has gone against me and no one respects me as a man anymore.
What is a man?
What?
Get really philosophical on the Disney hangout.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think we should now have a toy box building competition that embodies that concept.
Yes, your own definition of what man means, made out of toy box pieces.
Mine would be mostly made up of the moving ones that I can't figure out how to make work.
Yes, I made most of those.
There's a very good description of how to do it in one of those challenges, and I've just never used them because they intimidate me. I'd rather just run around and shoot paintballs at those guys.
That makes sense to me.
Steve, are you still here or did you just leave? Steve-O's power just went out in his neighborhood. He's using that as an excuse to not stay committed to the cause.
Pathetic. That is pathetic.
He can text you his questions if he wishes, I guess.
I'll tell him that right now.
Hey, I'm out, guys. Hey, thanks though.
Hey, see ya, Edwin.
Keep playing. Stay caffeinated.
Yeah, not hydrated,
Take care.
caffeinated.
Oh, there you go. Bye. Thank you.
Take care, man.
Have a
See
good
ya.
night.
So what time does the adrenaline wear off and everybody start to get really tired and bored?
I'm nearly there.
And it's early in the morning for you.
I know, it's only like 12:44 here at the moment. I'm ready for lunch. And no one's brought it to me yet. In fact, I don't think anyone's in the house. I've got no idea where my girls are. I've got no idea where the wife is. It's just gone.
I just got some pumpkin chili, Lloyd.
Oh, I just ordered some pizza because I was gonna make something, and it's like, well, then I'd have to be out of this chair for an extended period of time, so I'll just order pizza, and I didn't.
Have that.
Will, did you say pumpkin chili?
Yeah, man. Well, I would show it to you, but then I'd probably dump it all over my lap. But it's instead of tomatoes, it's chili. I mean, pumpkin.
Chili.
Chili, yeah.
Chili made, yeah.
I'm gonna be completely honest. That sounds awful.
Oh, it sounds amazing, and you know it.
Pumpkin chili? No.
It's weird. It doesn't taste like pumpkin. It doesn't taste like tomato chili, but it tastes good.
Oh, pizza!
You can't argue with that.
Exactly, right?
It tastes good. So what's your problem?
You did?
Can you be more descriptive? Good. Good.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
We're here
sorry.
for you, Lloyd.
I wasn't muted. My apologies. I will mute now.
Well, just to give you guys a heads up, because I don't know how communicative I've been with the members of this event. In 15 minutes, people at Extra Life are actually giving me a call, along with one of the original co-hosts, Ben Durant, and for some of you may know that his story is the reason I'm doing Extra Life, and the Extra Life people kind of reached out to us and want to hear his story. So the Hangout will be turning into that, and what I'll basically just be doing is piping that audio into the Hangout, and I'll be muting everyone else. So feel free to stick around for that, Worth, if you're interested in kind of hearing more about the program and hearing more about Ben's story. And
balloons.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to sign off here in a few minutes.
Okay.
But I'll be hanging around. Maybe I'll pop back in.
Totally understandable. Yeah, and even if you just don't want to jump on the Hangout later and you have some time, just feel free to chat with us in the chat room.
Yeah, I'll have the chat room up. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask me in the chat room, and I'll say what I can.
Cool. Will do. I just had to reboot my, and this isn't for you, Worth, but I just had to restart my, I think I did my whole Xbox because I kept logging into shared, or Disney shared toy boxes, and half of the terrain pieces were missing, which was weird. But I think it actually had to do with my network connection.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at that Swiss Family Robinson, and there's just like random tree branches and nothing else, and I'm like, this doesn't look like a winner.
No, it's a commentary on the futility. I'm not that kind of artist.
Everything is so deep with you. I'm looking at this tangled texture, and I'm trying to see the deeper meaning. What is underneath these flowers? That vulnerable shell.
Vines, I believe.
Oh, now you're literal.
If I remember the tangled texture.
I just love how you guys did an amazing job, just really, and we talked about it in the other interview, but just how much everything captures the essence of the property that they represent, and it's like it's so cool because you don't see a toy box terrain in the Tangled movie, but you see this terrain piece, and it's obvious that it's Tangled, and it's just really cool how it embodies that all of the toy box assets do.
Yeah, that was the real goal. Not so much to be like, oh well, let's pick the thing from the movie and have that be what it is, but to be like, oh what, if somebody was making a toy based on this, or how does it feel? What's the feel of the movie or the character? Pulled a lot of stuff. Like Tangle's a good example of pulling details from her dress and pulling details from the design of the movie, like the sun graphic, the sun graphic that's on, in the city and that kind of stuff from the flower. And then we mix in literal things from the movie, like the actual flower from Tangled. Yeah.
Like in some of the actual texture, or I mean not texture, but like the ground assets is what you mean? Because I kind of know. Yeah. I think I know what you're saying there.
Yeah, like the
yellow flower or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Worth, I hate to do this, but do you mind if we say goodbye to you? And the only reason is because we're gonna have to start a new hangout, and that way you don't have to stick around for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like a good time.
Well, I really appreciate it, and do you guys want to say anything to Worth before he takes off?
Worth, you're the man.
Woo!
Thank you very much for answering the questions and being so cool. You're awesome. I'm a big Worth fan now.
I'm glad. So, props go out to Chad Liddell for wrangling this and going through and getting the clearances and doing all the logistical stuff to make this possible. We really have wanted to be a little more involved and where appropriate with some of the community stuff. So this has been a ton of fun, something that we wanted to do. So I'm really glad that it worked out. Hopefully we can. Hopefully this means it'll be easier next time to kind of poke our heads out, say hello, and interact.
Yeah, hopefully it creates kind of a conduit of that exchange moving forward, and at least for you guys, because like you said, it sounds like you want to be a part of it. And
yeah, I mean, we don't want to inject ourselves into what you guys have created. This is definitely it's not our thing, but insofar as we can add value to the conversation or just be fans along with you, that's what we want to do.
That's awesome, and we appreciate it. I know that I appreciate you taking some time out of your Saturday and talking with us, and I know the other guys feel the same way, and you guys are helping make this Extra Life a success. So,
and I just wanted to quickly say a huge thank you from all Tron fans everywhere for all that you did for us. We got to stick together.
Yes. There's a lot of people online. Every time online that I see somebody like, oh man, more Tron, or oh, it's so cool, Tron, my heart grows a little bigger. It was my pleasure.
Awesome. Good to hear.
Awesome.
I really hope that we get to see you on the Emperor's New Groove pack in the future, because I really like what you've done.
It will be my pleasure. Maybe.
All right, Worth, thank you again, my friend, and you are a friend of the podcast. You were before, but now you're actually, we've been talking with us. So, tell everyone else
of greats.
Yes, tell everyone else at Avalanche that we say hi to them and that we love the work they're doing too. And yeah, hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Keep it up. I hope you don't absolutely hate our game by tomorrow. I hope there's still a podcast after tomorrow.
Yeah, well, Jason asked me the other day, he's like, so are we doing a show on Monday? And I'm like, we're rolling interviews on Monday because this guy is sleeping. So, all right. Well, thanks again, Worth, and we will talk to you soon.
Awesome. See you guys.